So, not to discourage you from going and reading that paper, but I'll give a sort of digest, so you can skip it if you want to. And we'll start with the good news. And the good news is that the principles and themes that in the broad strokes of what we're proposing are very largely are complementary to and corroborated with the agroecology literature. And where they don't correspond strongly with the agroecology literature, it's often in several cases it's that they're shining a light on some place where agroecologists should start paying attention, right? Like agro-ecosystem design, right? And design questions, and not just how we select land uses or select components of our system, but how we arrange them. That makes a tremendous difference for a whole bunch of functions. That just doesn't show up in the agroecology literature. And so that's one of the sort of like the sort of lowest hanging fruit in terms of our capacity to say to some institutional science is already happening. Hey, check this out. There's all kinds of evidence that supports that this is important and no research about it, so let's look at it. And there's a whole other set of areas where the contribution of permaculture to that literature is either a distinctive sort of integration of multiple concerns, or like a distinctively sort of aggressive emphasis on a few different things. Like in the agroecology literature, there is a literature on earthworks for water management, and there's plenty of literature on perennials. But in the permaculture literature, there's this distinctive integration of all these things into a sort of coherent framework, and this aggressive emphasis on the importance of having systematic integrated water management through your whole agroecosystem, right? Through interlinked earthworks. There's a really distinctive emphasis on how what a key strategy increasing the perennial production within the agroecosystem, and likewise on polycultures. In the same way that perennials are emphasized, the way that we pay attention to polycultures and the assembly, design, and use of polycultures is distinct and stands out. And it was suggested to me that I share this piece by Eric, and I would not want to normally punish the translator in this way, but since he's translating right now, that's what he gets.
Polycultivos perennes. That's how you say it.
So this was a sort of in the conclusion of that paper, in which I wanted to try and just do some concluding, doing some summing up. And it's funny because this is maybe not interesting part, but in a lot of journal papers, the conclusion is very much a throwaway part. But that also means it's a place where you can get some things that you can have more latitude to say some things that might be otherwise a little bit trickier to get into peer review. And so this isn't necessarily really controversial, but I was trying to say to the agroecology community, if permaculture has a sort of a hypothesis that it's testing, right? From the perspective of agroecology, it looks like the idea that if we systematically design agroecosystems, right, including questions of configuration, of like spatial arrangement. So with systematic design, where we're aggressively emphasizing diversity at multiple scales, so from the patch all the way to the field, all the way to the whole agroecosystem, and integrated water management, and access to global germplasm, right? So access to the global species bank, that we can increase the incredible productivity that agroecology has already shown happens in traditional land management systems. And we're saying that we can take the traditional land management as a baseline, and by applying and integrating these tools, we can increase that productivity, especially labor productivity. And while retaining the things that have already been shown to be extremely valuable about all these traditional systems, including like sustainability and multifunctionality. Any questions so far? Does that make sense so far? All right.
Now, what's the definition of traditional systems?